There are so many things that I have been putting off for a couple of weeks now, partly because I didn't want to go out of the house because we still have that pandemic. People are still getting COVID, although it's not as much as last year because people are now fully vaccinated. Also, I have been sick and had to stay inside my room. I had cough and colds, and the protocol for fully vaccinated people like me is to just isolate for at least 5 days. My 5 days are over. My fifth day was August 16. Well, the wee hours of August 17, actually. So on the mid morning of August 17, I was already allowed to go out of the house, so I ventured out to take care of some important things. I'm already mostly okay. I no longer have cough and colds. I'm allowed to go out after the isolation of 5 days, but my voice is not yet back to normal. Anyway, I could not put things off any longer. Some of these things are urgent. Here is a list that I made for today, and I have categorized them by area so that it will be more fuel efficient and time efficient, and also will be not so hard on my energy levels, which is still low. Now, I still have half a tank of fuel left in my car, so there is no need to gas up yet. And by the way, my odometer reading is 53894 kilometers. Let's see later how many kilometers I drive at the end of the errands. Of course, I needed to get cash first thing, so I dropped by the ATM machine of this bank right here. And then I had to mail notebooks to three different people at JRS Express. One notebook was a prize for a raffle, and the two are notebook orders that people actually purchased from me. I use my JRS rewards cards here so I could gather points that I can use as rebate later on. The next task was to walk a few meters to this bank here because my publisher, the publisher of my novel, needed a specific document from my bank, and the security guard who was manning the queue gave me this queue number. Right now it is 11 o'clock. After 15 minutes, I was finally inside the bank, but there was another different queue. When it was finally my turn, I explained to the bank staff what I needed, what it was for, and showed them a printout of the email from my publisher. And it took a while for them to understand what I needed. They were not familiar with international wire transfer and the royalty payments of authors that is coming from a different country. They were not familiar with that. But finally, I was able to make them understand, and they made me fill out a form and made me pay 200 pesos for the document that I needed. That took an hour, and I do not have the document with me yet. The bank told me that they will just send me a text message to come back once the document is ready for me. So I walked back to where my car was parked and drove to another bank. This is a different bank to get my replacement ATM card that I should have picked up months ago. But like I said, I wasn't leaving the house at all except for urgent matters. And this was not urgent. But I must deal with it at some point, and I decided to deal with it on this day. Now, it was a bit hot where I was waiting, so I told the security guard I'll just wait inside my car and he can just signal to me when it was already my turn to go inside. And finally, I was inside at 12:36. I got my replacement ATM card, which has been ready for pickup in April 21, together with instructions on how to change the PIN or set up the new PIN. It is almost 1 p.m. I set up a new PIN for the card using the ATM machine, and it took only about 2 minutes. And by the way, I keep showing the time elapsed because I want to show how long each task took. And then after this, I dropped by plazamedica very quickly because I had to request for an appointment for Jawide to consult with his endocrinologist. I could do this over the phone, of course, but I was already passing the building, so I thought I'd just step in. And after that, I already got a text message from the first bank that I went to informing me that the document that I requested was ready for pickup, so I went back there. And now I finally have one of the documents required by my publisher, and I can scan this and then send it to them through email. The next stop was SM, and this is a shopping mall, and I need to get several things here. Things that I need. I hardly ever buy anything that I want anymore. Everything that I buy are things that I need. And there is a Watson's inside here and an NBS, which means National Bookstore, and a few other things that I needed inside this mall right here. I needed a new iPhone cable, and I usually buy the cable from this store. It's called Digi because they have the Hoko brand, which I like because they're gentle on the battery of my phone and they're also not that expensive. I don't really need a data cable. I already have that. And I don't need a fast charger. I just need a regular charger. And I ended up choosing this one that cost 195 pesos. And then at the department store, I got two wooden chopping boards because I will be making one additional book press for myself so I can make notebooks faster. I already have two book presses and I will be adding a third book press. And these two chopping boards will function as the book plates. As for the hardware, like the screws and the nuts and the washers, I already have them at home. I also got socks for myself, a set of no-show socks and a set of traditional socks, and half a dozen pairs of briefs for my son. And this is the beauty and self-care section of SM department store, and everything I have on my list for Watson's is already in this area, so I decided to buy them here so that there will be no need for me to go to Watson's, which is on the other end of the mall. I got the Lux Organics Aloe Vera Gel and the Lux Organics Hyaluron Gel. These are very, very good. I layer them together morning, before sunscreen if I'm going out, and at night after retinol. I also got a bottle of this Garnier micellar water, the vitamin C, and I got two of these Vaseline lip care in rosy pink because I suffer from eternally dry, chapped lips. This is really the only thing that works for me, so I use these a lot. These are for both treatment and protection. These other ones look very nice, but I know from experience that only the Vaseline one in the pot actually works for me. The basket was getting heavy, so I finally got myself a cart. And I also got this purple shampoo. I really like this. I did give one to my mother who had stopped dyeing her hair, and by the time she finished up the entire tube of shampoo, her hair was so beautiful, snowy white. But after that, she ended up going back to dyeing her hair. I was so frustrated, and I will never give her anything for her hair ever again. This is for me. And then I got dental floss, a 2-pack, one for the bathroom and another one for my bag. And then feminine pads because I still might get my period, maybe. And then 2 packs of these cotton rounds. These are my favorite. And also a small pot of Vaseline petroleum jelly, which I also use on my face from time to time when I want to do the slugging thing for skincare. Now all of the toiletries are complete. I can transfer to a different area of the department store. I already have everything else listed on here except for the bubble wrap. I needed 2 big rolls of bubble wrap, which I use as packaging for the notebooks that people buy from me, for lack of a better alternative for protective packaging. This is really the most protective that I can find. And then it is off to the cashier for the payment. The line is a little bit long and I could request to be accommodated first because I am a person with disability, but I'm not in a hurry and I have a cart, so I'm not carrying anything heavy. I do not need the priority accommodation. I've always had the loyalty card at SM, which is called the SMAC or SMAC or the SM Advantage card, and I have been a member of that since 2010. Payment is done. I decided to drop everything inside my car first because there's a lot to carry. And at this point, it is already half past 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and I sat a little bit in the car to get a breather and to check my list. The items at the top are not really urgent, and I can do them on a different day. The Watsons and other SM matters are already done, but I need to get back inside to go to NBS. And here it is, National Bookstore. I needed a new clear book to store all of the legal documents connected to my novel, the publication of my novel. And I do prefer the loose leaf refillable clear books because even if they have small rings, and even if I don't particularly like the cover, I can take it all apart, add more clear book sleeves, and change the cover. I can even make a cover myself if I want to. The Seagull brand has good quality plastic sleeves. They are thick enough, and the seal on all of the edges do not come apart even after heavy use, and the holes are reinforced and are punched very cleanly. Here are the refill pockets which can be purchased separately, but I do not need these for now. I can add them later. Then I also needed tape, 2 rolls of tape, and that is it. I decided not to get the rest because those were not urgent and I'm also running low on energy. And it is already almost 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I decided to finally get a very, very late lunch at a drive-through. Now, I have not been to Jollibee in about 6 years. I do not support them because of their violation of the rights of their workers. But for the past few years, for the past couple of years, they have been fixing that gradually. But still, I have not gone back. However, because a lot of my viewers on my YouTube channel are not in the Philippines, I decided I might as well show you all Jollibee, which is our country's version of McDonald's, although we also have a McDonald's here. And as a person with disability, I get 20% off of all food in all restaurants. While waiting for my turn at the drive-thru, I decided to adjust the time setting on my dash cam. It was running 5 minutes faster than Philippine Standard Time, and it was throwing me off a little bit. I want all of my time settings to match. Here is how much the Jollibee cost. The price was supposed to be $159, but because of my discount, I only paid $113.57. Not bad. Now, I didn't really have time to stop and eat, so I really actually only ate the French fries while driving to the next task. I had to get a government form notarized in this area right here, but there is no available parking nearby. I had to circle a couple of times before I found a parking space. After parking, I walked to the notary place and it was already 3:42. Here is the notary place. It is actually a notary and photocopy place because people usually need multiple copies of the documents before getting them notarized. So they lumped the two things together in this area here, which is actually very convenient. But I did not need photocopies. I already printed out multiple copies of my government document. And what I need to get notarized is the copyright application for my novel. I do not really need an actual copyright registration because creative copyright is already automatically vested on me upon the moment of creation of my novel, according to both the Berne Convention and Philippine laws. But I wanted to do this anyway just to have an official legal documentation from the government. And here is the Notary Public that I prefer. By the way, have a look at this area. It is a very bustling area. This is right in the middle of the city center, which we call Centro. I paid 200 pesos for the notarizing of my one government document. It took only 10 minutes for them to do everything. And while walking back to my car, I dropped by this drugstore at the corner for my maintenance medication for my thyroid condition. And as usual, persons with disability get 20% off all medication that come with a prescription from our doctor. So the medicine should have cost $265.50, but with a discount, I only had to pay $189.64. When I got back to my car, I charged my watch because it was already super low on power. It is just plugged into a power bank right inside my bag. Checking my list, I realized that I forgot to pick up one item from National Bookstore that was urgent. The others on the National Bookstore list are not, but I can pick up that last item on the next store. But I could not get out of my parking space because this car was parked here, blocking me and another car that was parked beside me. This is clearly illegal parking. The engine was off, there was no one inside the car was all locked, and I had to get help from the security people of the establishments here so that they could go look for the person who parked here. And when that person came out, I was standing outside my car looking at him, and he just walked straight past me. He did not apologize, he could not even look at me. But right before he went inside his car, I called out, "I'm so sorry." And that startled him, and he looked at me, and then I looked straight at him, and then I went inside my car and drove off after he removed himself from his illegal parking situation. And finally, I got to Jenna Trading. I picked up 4 of these glue sticks. And by the way, I do have a video about where I buy all of the materials that I use for making notebooks. And I will link that video down below. And I was so glad that finally the large pack of the cardstock are once again available. I got the white 8.5 by 13 inches 200 GSM cardstock in a pack of 100. I also picked up a thin pack of this legal sized paper. This is the one that I forgot to purchase from National Bookstore. And here is my receipt. I just tossed all of that into the back seat of my car together with everything else. And my car is actually quite dirty, which is why I was considering getting a car wash and vacuum. But it has been raining for weeks and weeks and weeks. And even after I get a car wash, my car is going to get muddy anyway. So I decided not to go to the car wash for now. And at this point, my watch has already been charged a little bit. I can put it back on. I arrived home at exactly 5 o'clock, and my odometer reading is 53910. I drove 16 kilometers on this day. I told you it was a very, very tiny city. I was able to accomplish all of the urgent and important things on my list and the things that I had energy for. The rest are important, but not urgent. I can do them next week when I have the energy. Now, I always keep my lists in my planner, and since this list looks so battered, I decided to reinforce it before putting it back into my planner. So I pasted a sheet of paper behind it and hole punched it. This is not a very nice hole punching, but that's okay. It was a good day for doing these important things.